Hi, greetings, Dr. Marzano. I want to talk to you today about my goals within the task 2 on the video reflections. This is what we're doing right now. But anyways, the element 2, the submit and self-assessment and growth goals. And so the goals that I picked were out of the MAIM instructional model, and definitely the ones that I wanted to work on were the ones that I was the least familiar with, excuse me, that I was the least familiar with, which is the metacognitive and life skills set. And it's not that I guess I'm not totally familiar with them, but it's something I've never taught before. I haven't actually explicitly done lessons on any metacognitive skills, and so I wanted to tackle that. I wanted to kind of jump in head first and just go for it. So I have set my goals around those areas, and so here they are. My goals are to engage students in long-term projects of their own design, engage students in activities that require the use of specific life skills, and engage students in activities that require the use of specific metacognitive skills. The reasons that I've kind of stated on here were the same what I just said, is that I want to dive in head first on something that I haven't worked with before so that I can get as strong with them as possible. The evidence for the growth is something that I wrote up here, and I also met with Barb Hubbs, our assistant principal, on recently, just today, this morning, in fact, to make sure that I'm, making sure that the evidence of the growth is something tangible, something I can see and track data for, and all that stuff. So we'll definitely be keeping track of student progress as far as for the projects, personal projects. I want to make sure that every student has a commitment and a plan and all of that, and so that'll be part of it. Also want to make sure that I'm keeping track of the student proficiencies. That'll be an Empower student proficiencies for the metacognitive and life skills. I also want to, as the students earn their badges, we'll keep track of that in a Google spreadsheet or a Google form as well, and make sure that I'm including that data and when it's happening and why it's happening. I'll also, keep track of this as far as it goes with daily data collection from students. So we'll set goals on this stuff as a class, and we'll talk about it. And I will break each one down and reflect on that, and reflect on implementations of lessons and how that's affecting everything. So we'll monitor things as we go forward on all of this. The initial data that I got back from my students was based upon this survey that I handed out. If you remember, we talked about this too, that the metacognitive and life skill sets didn't really have, with the exception of one element of the NASAT, didn't totally link up with that, and there was kind of something different. So it didn't have a student survey that had already been created on the compendium of student surveys, and so I ended up having to create my own, and I hope it works. I definitely got some interesting data back on this, and so that's where the rest of this video will go. So the student survey, here's the results. Let me pull up this summary here. There were different elements. The first item was my teacher asked me to self-reflect so I can see how I'm doing or how I'm learning. My students on average on this one was a 4.41 with standard deviation of 0.089. I'm not surprised to see that students all strongly agree on this one for the most part on average. Even the standard deviation just falling into the agree category, that all of my students do this every single day. We self-reflect every day, and the students, they have reflection journals. We also self-assess on their matrices that are on the back of their proficiency scales every single day. So the students we're doing this. This is something that is definitely not new to them. You might ask, where did you get that question from? Well, and you might not ask that. You might totally know where I got that question from. But I grabbed that from the model here, and on the side over here, the student evidence to that was that students are engaged in self-reflection activities and can describe what I do to help them be more effective. So that's where I got that. The second question, I know what I need to do to become a better learner. The mean on that one was a 4.31, not quite as strong, but the standard deviation was about the same. So most on average kids falling into this agree or strongly agree category. And so the same kind of a thing there. We talk a lot about how students can become better. It's our main focus in class. It's why we're here, is to become better learners. And so we talk a lot about that, and we do a lot of work towards that. So once again, that I'm not so surprised about. The third item is the most interesting to me. Is this one here? I'm working on. Oh, sorry. I'm working on a long-term project that I have designed, and so you'll see the inches are much more spread out on this one. My standard deviation was a lot higher. That was a 1.13, and the mean on this one was a 3.6. So that shows me, which is still really funny. So this long-term project is based upon the personal projects for what we're going to be doing here coming up, and each student having that they designed this project they're working on. We haven't implemented that yet. We haven't even talked about that yet. I haven't even uttered the word personal project this entire year. Yeah, the majority of my students on this one, and I guess it kind of falls. The 3 was the neither agree nor disagree. So that's good. The majority of my students tended to fall more towards the agree, and I even had some strongly agree within this category. Now the standard deviation was a lot higher, and that shows me that my students obviously were split upon this one, and for good reasons that we haven't actually implemented this yet. So looking at that was interesting. I thought it was kind of neat, though, that still within the spectrum of this classroom and the students coming in and doing their daily work, some of them still feel like they are working on something that is a bigger project, that is more of a longer-term thing, and it's something that they have a say in, which shows me that the culture that I've wanted to create in this classroom is one that's being put into place, which is that students are here to work on becoming better people, better students, and that they have a say in that. So I think that links in with the voice and choice that I give my students. It's just neat. It's neat to see, but it's funny too, because as you're giving this kind of survey, you're hoping to see that the data shows that, hey, you have room to grow, and certainly I do have room to grow. As far as this one goes, as a 3.61, hopefully I'm taking this one as the average of. They weren't quite sure even what that meant. I'm hoping. Although some of them still said that they did. So, anyways, that was the most interesting data on this one as far as I was concerned. The next one was my teacher has me do activities that help me with develop life skills. This was the one with my highest mean and my lowest standard deviation. That the students feel like the things that they do in class helps them with their life skills, and I'm not surprised by that. Once again, we work on that. The students are always working on something that helps them get better to be successful down the road. We talk a lot about that, a lot about why we're doing the things we're doing, the purpose behind everything, and so I'm not totally surprised to see that one. I'm working on developing specific metacognitive skills, which is this guy here, and so this was the other one that I was interested to see and glad to see that the average fell within the standard deviation of this neither agree nor disagree, because that's one that I really wanted to work on. I wanted to work on this. We have not implemented metacognitive skills yet. We're still setting everything up, and that's where I'm planning to go the next few weeks as this process starts out. So I've talked about it before, and so maybe that's why they feel like they're familiar with this. I would have expected this to be much more of a disagree or a strongly disagree, because we haven't done anything with this. We haven't worked on it. We've talked a lot about it. Anytime we're talking about what's the difference between us and a different school, is I talk about how we are working on these life skills and metacognitive skills, and so I'm sure they've heard me say the word metacognitive before, and so I'm thinking that perhaps that's why they felt like they could score higher on this one, or that they would agree on this one. Still, anyways, with this being one of the areas I wanted to focus on, you don't hope for lower scores, but I was hoping for a lower score so that the students would. So that I could show more growth and work on that. So I'm still wanting to work on this. But the last one was I can describe how using specific metacognitive skills will help me, and this fell along the same lines as that of the previous one. So within the metacognitive skill sets, they are definitely feeling like they're not quite as sure, and so that's a good thing for me, because that connects back with what I'm seeing in class, which is we haven't really done much with it. So that's the kind of my analysis of this data, and I want to make sure that I'm checking off all the boxes on this one for my video reflection activity. So I'm going to jump back over here. I've explained my goals, my strengths and weaknesses. I guess maybe I didn't talk about that. I feel like through the self-reflection on all of the the 10 elements here, the 10 areas within this. I mean, this is hard, Dr. Marzano. I feel like I am strong in all of these areas. You know, I've been helping teachers go through this. I've been helping even just today, and a lot of them, are scoring themselves on 0s and 1s. And just as I'm going through this, I don't feel like I am a 0 or a 1 or a 2 on any of these elements. And so it's difficult. I'm by no means saying that I've got this all down. There's a lot that I have left to learn, and there's a lot that I can be doing better. But I have scored myself a 3 or a 4 in all of these areas. I'm a 3 in proficiency scales, assessment and feedback. I'm definitely a 3 on. For the proficiency scale instruction, I believe I'm a 4. And general instruction, a 3. Grouping and regrouping, a 3. Engagement, a 3. I would almost put myself as a 4 for engagement. Comfort, safety, and order, I'm a 4. Belonging and self and esteem, I am a 4. The efficacy and agency, I am a 3. And the metacognitive skill sets, I believe that it's hard. I guess I'm probably a 2 or a 3 on this one. Although I do really work on longer term projects and life skills and those kinds of things. So anyways, my weaknesses, I think as a teacher, I guess if I'm being honest with myself, I don't have the longest term focus that I could. I could have a longer term focus. Although I think that that's what helps make me a good teacher within this model is that I don't have a long-term focus. I'm not stuck to one certain plan, and I can't deviate from that plan. I am flexible. I am adaptive, because I think you have to be in this kind of model, because you never know where the students are going to take it. And if you're giving them the keys to the car and you're letting them drive, you better be okay with where it is you're going, right? So I think that perhaps one of my perhaps one of my weaknesses ends up being a strength. And so I'm trying, and I really feel like this metacognitive skill set is a weakness because I just don't know it. I haven't done it before, and so that's where I'm at, and that's why I selected my goals in terms of my strengths and my weaknesses. And if you'd like, I can detail further a clear plan for how I'm going to collect the evidence for this. I verbally explained, but I haven't. Aside from my regular usage of Google Forms and daily data collection, aside from that, I'm sure I'll develop some new things as necessary as I feel the need to analyze certain things that I'm doing. So I'm doing this. I'm constantly getting feedback from Plickers, which is a website that we use, where I'm constantly collecting data on how the students are feeling about themselves and about the school and about what they're doing. So here's my reports. This is just from Wednesday, and this tells me how students are feeling as far as their positivity, their helpfulness, their integrity, their effort, and their kindness. And we track this every day, and the students track it every day. So I am big on collecting that data and analyzing it and seeing how things are changing. So anyways, I kind of got off topic, or I kind of rambled a little bit, but I hope that this helps. And if you need any clarification, please let me know.